Good afternoon, everybody. This is Ayman Ibrahim, Sector Head for Monitoring, Communication and Information at the Egyptian Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation. It is my pleasure here to be the moderator for the technical session, Code 5.4, which will talk about private sector and innovation in the water sector. Of course, private sector support in the water sector is very important, and we encourage to have more and more support in the future. Today, you are going to have a very interesting two presentations. The first one from company HWTC, which is Hungarian Water Technology Cooperation. And the second presentation will be from Nesla Water Egypt. Let us start with the Hungarian Water Technology Cooperation. I would like first to introduce a brief about the company. It is a private sector consortium company, consists of three recognized companies. The first one is called Subsidized Civil Engineering and Construction. The second one is Hydrofit Water Treatment. And the third one is Control Soft Company. The consortium specializes in the design and complete implementation of drinking water treatment plants, wastewater treatment plant, production of mobile water and wastewater treatment compact units, membrane desalination plants, and recycling technology for industrial wastewater, and also for SCADA system for monitoring and stuff. We have today with us Miss Christina. She is going to present. Today. Let me first introduce her. She worked with HWTC in Budapest. She has a lot of several years of experience in various locations around the world. She spent the past 4 years in heavy industry working with energy companies in France. The major was pipe fitting projects in the oil and gas industry, and involved in many of international projects, bringing her contribution to building a truly global reach for the company HWTC. Today, Mrs. Christina is going to talk about HTC focus area, who they are, their experience in water treatment and in SCADA and industrial process control. Ms. Christina, we're happy to have you here with us, participating in the Cairo Water Week, presenting your company, HWTC. The floor is yours to present what you have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ayman, and thank you so much to the organizers for the invitation. I'm very happy to represent HWTC today from the comfort of my home, which is probably the new normal for us. And yes, let me share the presentation and start talking about our solutions and how we see things in the water sector from an innovation point of view, and how we're trying to work towards environmentally friendly solution to the various problems and challenges that we face today in the water treatment industry. I'm going to start my presentation here now. And thank you so much for your kind introduction as well. As you've mentioned, I'm just going to skip through the introduction of our three founding members who are completely owning this corporation, and just to highlight why these three partners are a perfect fit for each other. That's because the first one, Sabadic, is a civil engineering and construction company which can help with the installation of any type of solution and mechanisms that we provide. whereas Hydrofield is the company that will develop the technology according to our partners' needs. They will put it together in their warehouses in Hungary and set it up ready for shipping. Whereas third member ControlSoft is the one who is responsible for automation, and you will see why this is so important and basically indispensable in today's world. As you mentioned, I am going to talk about our focus areas. So bear with me, and thank you to those attendees who are actually either skipping lunch or having a late lunch to hear me speak. I'm going to talk about the very first one, and to me, probably the most important one. We are dealing with drinking water. Drinking water is the type of goods, if I may say so, because nowadays we are paying for water, the type of goods that will be essential throughout humanity's existence. Of course, HWTC is dealing with different types of water treatment technologies, and here I'm just going to talk about traditional groundwater or surface water treatment. And I assume that the present panelists and attendees are somewhat aware of water treatment technologies, and they know how important it is to remove iron, manganese, or ammonia from water in order to make it drinkable. We cannot talk about drinking water treatment without mentioning the membrane technologies. This makes up a very high.
Excuse me, Christina.
Yes?
Could you share the presentation, please, for everybody to see? What are you talking about?
Oh, it's not sharing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was already sharing it.
No,
There
that's
you
okay.
go. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yeah, it is perfect now. Thanks a lot.
Okay. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
So I was just, I went through the three members, and I'm basically at the very first slide, so you didn't miss anything. So I was just talking about the importance of the membrane technologies in drinking water treatment. All these membranes have become incredibly sophisticated. We're talking about microfiltration or ultrafiltration, but also nanofiltration, or where are we going to get next? And this is so interesting about innovation. It does take place in the smallest areas of every industry, and this is what is probably going to make us go forward with more and more efficient and effective solutions for the water treatment industry. Of course, something that you're probably all incredibly familiar with is reverse osmosis. It has been a revolution, and also electrodialysis, which really allows us to gain a water that is highly pure. Now, we talked about drinking water, but we also focus on processed water treatment or high purity water. This is incredibly important for different industries. As you might be familiar with this, for the electronics industry or pharmaceuticals, but also I have a background in nuclear industry or in power plants. It's extremely essential to be able to provide to your processes the type of water, the kind of water, and the kind of purity that will ensure a good functioning of your production process. Now, of course, when we also talk about food and beverage production, we of course need to use the water that is the highest grade of purity. Also, on the other side of human consumption, we come to municipal wastewater treatment. we are dealing with sludge treatment for biogas production, high quality compost production, where you recover phosphorus. And we like to think about this as a providing, or actually giving our share of the circular economy. How important is it to talk about water reuse today? We are definitely striving to end up with as little wastewater in our water treatment processes as possible. And we know that humanity today is just producing more and more wastewater, but this wastewater is higher and higher in toxicity. So we are definitely focusing on this area as well. Now, if you bear with me, I just have two more areas that I would like to talk about. And we've talked about technological use of water, but now we have to talk about the wastewater. What goes in must come out. When we think about the wastewater that is produced by the various industries, we have to think about the fact that many times this water goes into the soil. It can contaminate rivers, or it can just poison the environment. So we do have to deal with a leachate treatment, but also removing heavy metals, organic solvents that can come from the dye industry, pharmaceutical residuals. This is highly toxic for the environment. And finally, before I go in to talk about the units and the solutions that we have for emergency situations, I'm just going to talk about our hydro well technology very briefly, which is a technology we are very proud of, and it consists of the different water treatment units in a mobile container format. This is such a big advancement for us, because imagine a 20 or 40 foot container that is highly mobile. We just put it together. We prepare everything based on our partners or clients' requirements. We put it together in our warehouses in Hungary, and they are ready to ship. They are very modular. They can be personalized. And they are very easy to start up. We can use it in different applications in different areas to produce drinking water, processed water, but also for irrigation. And as I was talking about, industrial wastewater, landfill leachate. Now, another important area of application would be seawater desalination. And we have been using this solution for a lot of the coastal communities, for example, along the Mediterranean. Many times it is much more effective and efficient to use this type of solution rather than overcomplicating the access to a grid, a local grid, which might not be a very good quality water for human consumption. This is how we can provide out of seawater, clean, safe, and healthy drinking water for coastal communities. As I mentioned, apart from a competitive price, because this is a compact solution, it's incredibly easy to set up. Of course, we guide the setup and also the commissioning. And for the operation, for further use, we provide training for operators, and it's extremely easy to use. It can also be connected to the grid in terms of power, but it can also use renewable energy from solar panels, for example. And just to mention what our partners at ControlSoft are helping us with, if you take a look at this little picture of the grid of how this server would work, if you are familiar with a typical SCADA system, which basically uses artificial intelligence-based algorithms to analyze the data and plan a reaction to it. This makes monitoring and operating these systems incredibly easy and transparent. Now, if you look at the left side of the SCADA server, we see that there's an intranet, which means that once we install a unit, the client or our partners can use this information through an intranet and just operate the units from their side. However, if that's not possible, or if they have the if they require help with that, with access to internet, even HWTC or the Hydrofield team can assist through the internet connection from a remote location. If you would like to just present the functioning of your system, you can also give access to viewers, or you can have the display on mobile devices. This is just to mention how easy it actually is to ensure that you are up to date and controlling the functioning of your systems. Now, I am going to finally arrive to the main solution that we would like to present within this panel discussion, and that is our emergency water treatment units. If you take a look, that's actually the left-hand side picture has been taken outside the warehouses of Hydrofield, where we put together these units. And if you see how compact they are and how well organized the instrumentation is, this is what we call our emergency solution. These can be shipped out to remote areas or areas that are very often affected by natural catastrophes, coastal communities, even, for example, military bases where we know that those are regions of higher risk, and we might need an emergency water treatment unit. And if we go on, this is just to overview the application areas we could use these solutions for. We can talk about, again, surface water. It can take water from lakes, rivers, but also underground water or seawater, as mentioned. And the bottom line is that we are able to produce safe and healthy drinking water that is fully compliant with the World Health Organization standards, but also local quality requirements. Now, those 9 units that you've seen are able to supply drinking water for communities ranging from 20 to 48,000 people a day, which is, in my opinion, quite impressive. Now, this is just a list of all the advantages of these units. As I mentioned, these are plug-and-play format. They are very easy to transport. The setup, again, installation is extremely quick. A minimal time is required. And I would like to give a special mention in my presentation to how well they can manage the variations in the quality of raw water. So basically, the water that goes in, the quality normally, we are working with a basic water test, and we build it according to that. However, if there is fluctuation in the quality of this water, these units can be provided with the necessary instrumentation to handle it very well as well. Now, it's a relatively short time for delivery. directly from the manufacturer, as well as supplying spare parts from the manufacturer's warehouses in case something is defectious. We do use, however, high quality components and material, and we offer a warranty. And of course, we are at the service of our partners and clients with whatever we can to help them, information, but also having maintenance after sales maintenance. The operation again is automated, and alternative energy sources can be considered for their functioning. And it's very fitting that we are at Cairo Water Week, because I wanted to mention how these units are actually able to bear temperatures ranging from -30 to +45 degrees Celsius. Now, only a few technical figures, however, I'm not going to go into that very deeply, but the dimension of the containers, you have seen how small and compact they are. And we are talking about 9 units. Again, the instrumentation, there are very basic but also sophisticated instrumentations and basics such as a level switch. However, we can also measure turbidity meter, which is incredibly helpful in the case of fluctuating water quality. And of course, the control is PLC, communicating through a contact signal. The capacity, this is also very important. If we talk about surface water, may it be river or lake water, it can handle up to 6 cubic meters per hour. If we take into consideration brackish water, the capacity is slightly lower, 4.5. And if we talk about seawater, then 2.5 cubic meters can be treated per hour. Now, the treatment process, just in case there are some attendees who are not extremely familiar with this kind of process, let me just walk you through it. We pre-treat raw water through pre-sterilization. We add chlorine to the water in order to halt the microbiological additives. Basically, microbiology is not desired to go into our units. It's not desired to go into the instrumentation. It can harm it, which means that the longevity is compromised. Once the chlorination is done, we are going to a first step of pre-filtration and through sand filtration or multimedia filters. This is going to retain all the bigger floating particles in the water. It's going to give us a fairly clean raw water, but then we're coming in with a second pre-filtration, which is ultrafiltration, and this is usually done by a membrane technology. This is going to retain all the microparticles in the water, and this is when we can actually go to our main treatment process, which is reverse osmosis. Desalination. This will take out all the salts, all the dissolved salts in the water, and leave us with a permeate that is incredibly pure. This is efficient up to 99.7%, so you can imagine how pure that water can be. But if we talk about drinking water or even processed water, this permeate is not entirely safe. It's not good. It doesn't qualify as drinking water. For this, we need a post-treatment. Post-sterilization, which is mainly done by post-chlorination, we add a bit of chlorine to ensure that the microbiology, in case the water is stored in storage tanks, you are going to get a high risk of microbiology propagating again. This is why we need post-chlorination. And of course, we have to resalt and adjust the pH in order to make this water fit to be consumed by humans. Now, just to finish up, I already mentioned that we offer training as well as after-sales service, but let me just highlight again that the 1 week intensive theoretical and practical training for the operators operating these units are insured by us. And we will also be there during commissioning, which means that first-time installation and commissioning will be done under our supervision and with our assistance. And finally, we are going to support the operators as much as we can from a remote location. Just for those of you who might be interested in learning a bit more about this solution, we do have a very good reference that was commissioned by the National Disaster and Risk Reduction Management Council in the Philippines. This is a unit structure that has been implemented in a military base. And if anybody is interested in this, I'm not going to take up more time. I can, of course, give further information through email. So this would be my presentation. I really hope there has been a good insight in what we are doing. Again, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak about this. And well, I don't know if there will be a Q&A session or the opportunity to interact with other panelists or attendees, but just to close up my presentation, I wish you, everybody, a very good end of the conference, and thank you again to the organizers, and of course, good health and clean water for all of us. Thank you.
Christina, thank you very much for your nice, comprehensive presentation about the company. It was really very interesting to hear about the broad scope of the company and the huge product you have. Please stay with us for any possible questions. Myself has 2 different questions, so I'm going to ask you at the end of the presentation. Okay, now we have with us also today, it is our pleasure to have them today, the Egyptian company, Nesla Water Company. Nesla has been in the Egyptian market for more than 150 years now, with a vision of a very good vision. I really like it. It is good food, good life. It has a lot. It has a wide portfolio of many brands. Like it is very familiar to all Egyptians: Nescafe, Nesla, Nido, Nesquik, and many other. Their aim is to enhance the quality of life and contributing to health as a future for individual and families. Okay, the company has like more than 3,000 employees now, and with another like 1,500 another indirect employee. They have like 3 factories in Egypt. Today you have with us Mr. Hussam Mahmoud. He is the project manager at Nesla. He's going to give us like a presentation about the company, the purpose, the values, the commitments in Egypt, what is the portfolio, and more. Okay, let me welcome Engineer Hussam, or Mr. Hussam. It's the floor of yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Ayman, for your nice introduction and for presenting the company. Just a small correction: I'm the production manager. I'm not the projects manager. So, thank you very much. Starting Nestle positions itself as business force for good. This is by providing products, and not only buy good products, but just caring again onto the community and on where it operates. So with Nestle and Ali, we work in 3 different pillars, and we focus onto these 3 pillars. The first pillar is individuals and families, and this by providing good products that provide good health for the community and the family. So customers just the product, but it's a that Nestle is. And the second pillar we want is the communities where we operate. So we in communities where our factories and where the company is, we help these communities by providing knowledge, organizing events that provide them knowledge and basically important information and about healthier life. Also with the basically the employment in the we act in the here we have employees from surrounding communities working into the factories, not only just from far away, but from the within communities that we operate in. We into the focus is the planet, where we care about a good environment, and we that we based by responsible usage of the and got how influence the recycling time. So we as use the and like a more this base our to the also of water to act responsibly to the usage of water. So sorry, it's loading. So our commitments to the community where we operate is basically in terms of factories is how we improve our efficiency of using waters in all our operation. So act responsibly towards the water usage with the community is to give access to clean water where we operate our factories. So give access to our communities, also to farmers and surrounding communities by giving knowledge and information in having a healthier life, the importance of having healthier food also the use of waters for the water shields. We encourage our partners in all the communities where we operate is to use of water, to act responsibly, again similar to Nestle in the usage of water, and how we all as businesses commit to the good usage of our nature resources. So this is our commitment as a company. For Nestle, we have the Alliance for Water Stewardship, who are the first and only certified company in Egypt to have this. It's how we use water in terms of efficiency in all operation. So basically, our water ratio and usage of water in the manufacturing process. Also, how we the water and how we have our responsibility towards the community in terms of the surrounding community, the proper usage of water, and discharge water, and all the services related to with working with individual and independent bodies to certify company in AWS. So again, as a comment, all company in Egypt and figures in the water usage in our factory goods. So we have about for last consumption, the consumption of water is 50 cubic meter versus 1.8. This shows to use cities. Looking to the reduction of consumption, 1.4 versus 4.6. There's been of water to declining how we use our manufacturing process by year after year and getting into us changing targets. More and more so here also we cannot do this by ourselves only. So for example, Nestle and like in independent bodies in the government, we can work all together for the water and how we can care about the water more. For example, that between with government and different individual bodies that we all can to work to care about the water. That's it for me. Thank you very much for having me today.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hussam Mahmoud, the production manager at Nestle Water Egypt, for this nice presentation and very interesting to hear that Nestle is the only and first company who is certified. Thank you again for this broad presentation. And I don't think there is something in the Q&A. Questions and answers from the participator. If nobody have a question, I have questions for Christina about her presentation. The first question you talk about the SCADA and that you remote control and monitor the stuff, the systems, the plant from it. Could you please give us what is security issues you consider in your SCADA and what you propose for securing this data transfer remotely through the internet? I have another question also in the reference list. You mentioned, I think the company has a lot of reference list. Is there something about Philippines specific, or it just was an example? Another question about, I still have two small questions. You said that your product can work in desert and in hot areas, and maximum temperature was 45 degrees. But some places have more than that. Do you have a solution for this as well? The last question is, what is the financial visibility of the product like? We didn't see anything in the presentation about like what is the cost of like treating cubic meter compared to the common and the international practice in the market. That's all. I'm sorry. There is,
Okay, I will try to remember all the questions. If not, I will just ask you again.
Okay.
I will start with the first question about the security regarding the SCADA system. Now, this is basically within an intranet. Of course, if we talk about the use of internet, it is breachable, but we've never had a precedent for this. Of course, this is a risk that the clients also take. However, our partner ControlSoft is ensuring to really make the access to this data and the analysis convert into information on the device of the end user. Whether it's the viewer of for example, the mobile device of an operator, whether it's the screen displayed on the mobile container that is installed. We haven't had issues with that. I would definitely be able to get more information and probably a better answer from ControlSoft. So do let me know by email if you would need that. Just also to say that that data is raw data, and it is converted into information that appears on the display, which is a more understandable interface for the end user. However, for anybody outside of that system, the data, the raw data collected, has absolutely no use. Now, to go to your second question, which was, again, if you can remind me.
Yeah, about the reference list, you only mentioned Philippines. Is there something special or why?
There is not something special in the sense that it is a unit group that we have already commissioned. It's working, it's functional. So that was the best reference I could give you, especially if somebody would be interested to find out more about that. And the specificities regarding, for example, the military base and the risk that they incur. That's the only reason why we only gave that reference. We have other units that have been in production, but I wouldn't like to give a reference of another place where commissioning has not been completed yet. I hope that you understand that. There were two other questions.
Yeah, one about, you said that the product is working in the desert area.
Right.
And the example, and the temperature range you gave was 45 degrees. But in some desert, in some areas, it is the actual temperature is more than that. Do you have like do you have an extended, like a product that have an extended temperature, extended operating temperature range?
For this issue, of course, we have thought about it, and these whether it's the emergency units or the containerized units, we are talking about having more or less of a constant or acceptable temperature, either through heating or cooling the containers. When we talk about connecting them to the grid or with renewable energy sources, we can actually cool the containers to a satisfactory temperature, or on the other extreme case, heat them so that the water doesn't freeze in our equipment, of course, or it doesn't get extremely hot so that the instrumentation gets damaged in extreme heat. So yes, we do have solutions for that as well. And these are also, just let me add this, these are things that we have to consider when we already know the specific place of installation, because we can talk about extreme temperatures, we can talk about the quality of raw water that goes in, and to get to your final question about the price of these units.
No, not actually the price, actually the financial visibility compared to the, it is related, not a direct question about the price, you know.
I mean, the price of these units in terms of how cost effective they are when we talk about the end product, which is either drinking water or any type of other processed water. These are things that come out at the very end of calculations when we already took into consideration where they have to be installed, what is the quality of the water that goes in, because the quality of the raw water will determine what kind of equipment we have to put in those units. If we have a relatively clean water, we do not need 2 phases of pre-treatment. If the water is highly soiled, then we do need extra treatment. We need a higher use of chemicals. So maybe a different type of membrane. Membrane technology can be quite costly, but all these things have to be defined once we have a raw water test, and we have to build our design upon those parameters. So that will actually end up in, of course, a final price of the units, and therefore you would be able to calculate how effective would be, how effective that would be from a cost point of view, like cost per liter of produced water or per ton, or taking into account for how many people you are providing drinking water. I hope that answers more or less the question.
No, thank you very much, Christina, for your answer. Just would like to make things clear for everybody. And once again, I would like to thank Engineer Hussam from Nestle Water Egypt for this nice presentation. Just to inform you that when I go to the supermarket and want to buy water, my first preference is Nestle, of course. So this is also just would like to say. And I would also like to thank Christina again for the presentation, for the hard questions, for the answers.
Thank you, my pleasure.
No, thanks a lot. If anybody has anything to say, we are going to close the session. So if somebody has anything to say before we close, you are welcome, Hussam and Christina. So
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Ayman, for this nice words and for your trust in our products. Thank you very much. I'm so proud that you said this. It's just like puts more responsibility on us just to satisfy all the consumer. And it's a pleasure to be on this session. Thank you very much, and for this nice effort. Thank you very much for that.
Yes, I also would like to thank again all the panelists, the moderators, and also the attendees who have stuck with us. Yes, for any further questions, I would be more than happy to answer through email. And I do invite you to have a look on our website and find out more about the solutions we offer, because we are striving for the ultimate goal of basically cleaning the water that we have already used and making a good use of our natural resources. So thank you again, and have a pleasant afternoon.
You all have a great day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.